The old Whitaker house had stood at the end of Maple Street for as long as anyone could remember. It was a sprawling mansion with peeling paint and overgrown gardens, a once grand home now succumbing to the relentless grasp of time. The townspeople whispered stories about it, how it was haunted, how it was cursed. They crossed to the opposite side of the street to avoid its shadow, but to Jess, it was nothing more than an abandoned relic begging for a moment of bravery. One chilly October evening, with the full moon hanging heavy in the sky, Jess decided to explore the forgotten house. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and a reckless sense of adventure, he climbed over a broken fence and pushed open the creaking front door. It groaned like a wounded beast, and a chill raced down his spine. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and each step kicked up plumes that danced in the faint beam of his flashlight. Posters from another era hung askew on the walls, and the scent of mildew clung to the air like a bitter memory. With a shiver of anticipation, Jess moved deeper into the house, the floorboards groaning under his weight as if protesting his presence. The living room was filled with remnants of a lost time, faded photographs, an old piano with cracked ivory, its keys muted under the veil of neglect. He ran his fingers across the piano's surface, the wood cold and unwelcoming. It was then he heard it, a soft whisper, barely discernible, like a breath against the wind. "Get out." He spun around, heart racing, but the room was empty. Shrugging off the warning as a trick of the mind, he ventured further into the house, each creak and groan muting the whispers clawing at the back of his thoughts. The hallway was long and narrow, shadows creeping along the walls like dark fingers, and the whisper returned, louder this time. "Leave." It felt like a hand gripping his shoulder. Paralyzed by fear, Jess hesitated but pressed on, curiosity and dread warring in his chest. He opened a door at the end of the hall, revealing a nursery untouched by time. Dust-covered toys lay scattered about, and a single rocking chair swayed slightly as if it had just been abandoned. Jess felt an uncanny chill as he stepped inside, an unspoken sorrow wrapping around him like a shroud. He had the unmistakable sense that he was not alone. Suddenly, the whispers flooded back, a cacophony of voices echoing in his mind. "Help us! Save us!" Panic surged through him. Goosebumps prickled his skin as he turned to leave, but the door slammed shut with a deafening bang, trapping him within the nursery's haunted embrace. He pounded on the door, dread tightening his throat. The whispers turned to wails, desperate cries that twisted his insides. "Stay with us." Fumbling for his flashlight, he flicked it on, illuminating the nursery, but it wasn't the toys or the furniture that caught his gaze. In the corner stood a figure shrouded in shadows, a child with hollow and a mouth twisted in silent screams. The ghostly form pointed toward the wall, where a faded picture hung, a family portrait with smiles too bright for the darkness that surrounded them. A sudden understanding washed over Jess. The whispers, the shadows, they were trapped souls, bound to this house, to their memories of despair. He felt their anguish deep in his bones, an echo of their unfinished lives. "Save us!" the child moaned, reaching out a hand. Jess recoiled in horror, scrambling for the door, but it refused to give. "No," he shouted, desperation flooding his voice. "I can't help you." The temperature dropped, and the whispers became frenzied, the walls vibrating with their torment. "You must stay. You belong here." With a final surge of adrenaline, Jess threw his weight against the door. It creaked and groaned, and with a heart-stopping crack, it burst open, sending him tumbling out into the hallway. He didn't look back as he raced down the stairs and out into the cold night. Panting and shaken, he stumbled onto the street, the moonlight washing over him. The whispers faded behind him but lingered in the recesses of his mind. As he glanced back at the Whitaker house, he felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. The house stood silent, watching him, a sentinel of sorrow. It had claimed so many before, and it would quietly wait for its next visitor. In the days that followed, the town's kids dared each other to go inside, but Jess, of what he encountered, he knew the truth, that the whispers never truly ceased. They had only grown quieter, lurking in the walls, waiting for someone brave, or foolish, enough to listen again.